time again, boys and girls. Fatherhoods. We got a special guest for y'all today. He is a prolific artist in the hip hop realm. He is an author. He is a business owner, at least one. I think you invest in other businesses as well, but he is the founder, and I don't know if you call yourself the CEO, but he's that dude at Reach Records. And he's, I don't know, your career has spanned so many years, but he has been synonymous with Christian rap. Although I don't put him in that box. That's, I think, what he's been kind of known for. Without further ado, man, it's Lecrae.
Yes, sir.
You,
don't forget about those Grammy Awards back there too.
Yeah, we gotta talk about it.
Hey, man.
Yo, thank you for taking the time. I don't know if you're in the middle of a tour, off tour. Hopefully things are kind of chill for you right now, but you got 3 kids, so I don't think anything is ever really chill.
Ain't never chill, bro. Ain't never chill. Never a dull moment. You know what I mean?
So,
well, hey, Manny, one thing to note, just before we jump into that, just on the music tip, I think what's interesting with Lecrae is that I think, at least from, I guess we're all probably similar age range, but in this age range, there's always been, when we talk about music and secular music and popular music, there's always been kind of this bucket of, okay, it's Christian rock or it's Christian metal, Christian rap, and it's always been its own thing kind of in the fringes. Lecrae, in my opinion, and I think in a lot of people's opinions, you managed, because you just make dope music, you managed to get out of that category, and you're a hip hop artist, you're a music artist, as opposed to being in a bucket over there. So I just want to make that known, because I think that was something that was special when you came out.
I appreciate that, man. Yeah, worked hard to be the bridge. You know what I'm saying?
And how has that been? Because that's a difficult thing, right? Like you're it's a tug and pull. You're in a genre that is almost like anti-Christian in a lot of ways, right?
Yeah.
So you got that fight. You probably got your own, like, your Christian followers who may take issue with you sometimes, because your bars, like, they go all over the map, right? Like, you a hardcore lyricist. You're not like, I don't even want to name anybody, but, like, you know what I'm saying? So, like, there's a lot of adversity or conflict. How do you navigate all of that?
But also, just real quick, I think the other part of it all is that it really just boils down to the message, right? And you can call anything all kinds of different things, but the beauty that I always saw in hip hop and in music is that you could deliver a wide variety of messages, and it's just kind of depending on how creative you are and how you let those words and the message seep into people, the listeners. And so, the idea that it's Christian rap isn't necessarily different, because you're just delivering a message, and the way you've managed to deliver that message is a little different. So that's cool to me.
Yeah, it's all about kind of the way you see the world, you know what I mean? And that's going to come out in your music. I think a lot of times we put people in these boxes and categories, because that's what we've been conditioned to do. I'll never forget running into Erykah Badu at a hotel, and she was kicking it with Lil Flip. And my brain was like, yo, what are you doing hanging with Lil Flip? You know what I mean? Like, why are you with Lil Flip? Because I had my mind conditioned to who she was, and based off of what I understood. And I asked her, I said, why are you hanging with Lil Flip? And she said, because that's my nigga. You know what I'm saying? and that really transformed something in my brain at the time. I remember being a kid, and just that did something for me. But I think what you're saying is hip hop has always been about authenticity and expressing who you are. You go from conscious, lyrics and people not wanting to be in the backpacker community, like, get me out of that category, I just want to spit, to artists who are like, I'm not a gangster, but I'm just reporting what I see in the streets, but that doesn't mean I'm a gangster or killer. And so I think these boxes the boxes, in my opinion, is what got Tupac killed. You know, it's like he wasn't allowed to be the fullness of who he was. He had to just, I gotta be, you know, this gangster, you know, because that's what people have this expectation of me. And I'm not allowed to tap into the thought-provoking Black Panther raised person that I am. I gotta just stick with this because this is what death row, this is what sells. And so for me, I think I found a freedom early on to just be like, yo, I'm a just be me. I'm not trying to be nothing. I'm not trying to be the Christian dude in the church kid who raps, and I'm not trying to be, you know, the rapper who's trying to act churchy. I'm just being authentically me. I'm a product of growing up in hip hop who had a spiritual transformation, and you know, that's where you hear me. That's, you know, so I think categories grab me before I grab them. People say, "Oh, you belong with us," and then that's kind of how it takes off. You know what I mean? So it is what it is.
I'll be honest, it confused me, right? Like me being like a hip hop head, 90s, like Biggie, Pac, you know, all of that, right? And then I hear about you, Andy Mineo, and I'm like totally confused because I'm expecting preach, right? Like preaching, right? And it caught me like this moment in my life where actually, you know who really set it off for me before I even discovered y'all?
Striper. That's who you were listening.
Nah. It was a Miami-based duo named Social Club.
Oh yeah.
So my cousin was managing them for a little bit, and you know, she's super like Christian, and you know, like, you know, she's about her faith.
Yeah.
And she introduced me to them, and she's like, she knows I'm a hardcore hip hop head. I'm a Catholic by trade, but you know, I'm not like super devout like she is. And then she says, "Yo, you love hip hop, you're gonna love these dudes." Right. And you know, right away, I'm like, eh. And as soon as I started listening, I was like blown away. And then I found Andy, then I found you. And we took it. So my kid's first concert ever, my oldest, was a Social Club concert in California.
Wow.
And it was the most amazing experience because if as a parent, it felt like the ideal combination to have her be a part of at such a young age to entertain her, but she took a liking to hip hop.
Right.
So that felt just like the right, and it was so dope.
Yeah. It fits because you got to remember hip hop historically it wasn't about promoting chaos, it was reporting the chaos. And it did have a moral standard. You know, there was a moral grounding, a code, so to speak, of ethics. And that's all you ever wanted, you know, your kids to have is like, hey, we got rules here, and then we got ethics here. So I think it is that good bridge, you know, musically to listen to with your kids, because I don't want my kids to not appreciate quality music and quality hip hop. And two, I don't want my, you know, it's like the fight. Like we can go old school and listen to stuff that I grew up on, and I'm able to break down what's being said. But then their generation, especially my 15-year-old, he can't even acknowledge. He's like, nah, it's not about skill, it's about popularity and virality. Ooh. And so most of these kids haven't had enough time to process what's even going on in their lives. They're just rapping about it. It goes viral and everybody's listening to it. And it doesn't have to make sense. It doesn't have to have any value system. It's just like, the blind leading the blind. So I like that, you know what I mean? Like that you was able to connect with your kids, you know, musically that way, because it's like, yo, you don't have to sacrifice the quality, but at the same time, at least it can stand for something.
But just think, some of the best hip hop that is ever made, for lack of a better term, is religious in a sense. Just think about all the 5%, the Gods and Earths, all the music that came out in that period.
Brand Nubian, Wu-Tang, you know, it was like, but again, so this is the thing for me. When I first had my spiritual transformation and I began to care more about, you know, ethics and morality and health and just my eyes were open, consciousness, so to speak, I gravitated because all I knew was hip hop.
Yeah.
And I didn't know there was a Christian rap. So I just started listening to more Common, more To Live, more Lauryn Hill, more Black Star. And that was my, Miseducation Lauryn Hill was what I call my first gospel album. You know what I'm saying? Because of what it communicated. And so that's the roadmap that I had as an artist. And I know what it did for me. And so it's the same thing I'm trying to provide for my kids and for other people's kids,
What was the, I'm assuming there was a lead up, but was there one thing in particular that led for you to awaken and have that switch?
Yeah. So the crazy part about it for me was I wasn't raised in church, free thinking mom. She was like, be a free thinker, explore, kind of. She grew up in a very religious household, and it was more rules than it was like relationship with God. It was like follow these rules, and she wasn't rocking with that. So I went off to school. Oh, what's going on?
What's good? What's good?
EFN in the building.
Yeah. But yeah, so I went off to school, and I got a full ride to a college in Texas, University of North Texas. I get up there, and this girl I took to prom, she was older than me. She was already in school. I didn't know anybody at the school. And so she said, hey, you should come to this Bible study. Now, listen, I went to the Rastafarian meetings because I like to smoke. I went to Baha'i. I went to everything because I was a free thinker, So I said, why not? I'm not opposed to going to your Bible study. And so I went, and I was like, yo, I like these people. You know what I mean? Like I dig these people, and I just kept hanging around them more. And I think the transformation happened for me was because they were consistent. It wasn't about me earning this relationship with God. It was just about me accepting it and embracing it. And that's where the transformation started. And then I began to care about positive things. I began to care about love, joy, peace, patience, kindness. And the Miseducation Lauryn Hill was spitting that to me. You know what I mean? That album was communicating the things that I began to care about. So that's what I wanted to listen to more than no shade to Kirk Franklin or any gospel, but that just wasn't what I grew up on. So I couldn't, it didn't make sense to my brain, but this music did. And so that's kind of was my gateway.
That's not the same young lady that encouraged you to essentially start rapping, was it? Because I think I heard somewhere that it was because of a young lady that you started to spit.
Nah. That was this little girl named down the block.
Okay.
I was trying to impress her, so I started trying to rhyme at like 11. Just like trying to impress the young ladies. You know what I'm saying? That's how that happened. But yeah, nah. Different story, different scenario.
It's interesting. So you go away to school. You glossed over this. I want to expand on this a little bit. You got a free ride to college.
Right, for sure.
Was that an athletic scholarship, academic? How did that work out?
Nah, actually, what was crazy was I wanted to play basketball. The only school that I got an offer from, I wasn't interested in going to. And I got mad my senior year because one of my best friends got kicked off the team. So I quit. And stupid, I was dumb. But I quit, and I didn't have anything to do with that period. So I started going to, I took a drama class, and the teacher was like, yo, you really good at this. And she said, you should audition for this scholarship. And I auditioned, and they gave me a full ride, for drama. Yeah. And I was like, well, shoot, I guess I'll go be an actor. I'll go get my Denzel on.
That's dope.
Yeah.
Are you doing more of that these days? I
do a little bit, but it's hip hop was my first love. Acting was second, and I talked to a few people, you know what I'm saying? Like when I talked to Queen Latifah on set before, and a couple folks, and they said, man, you really got to give up one to be great at the other, so it's kind of, you got to pick and choose. If you want to be great, you're going to have to choose one. And I was like, I'm not willing to let go of the rap, of the music right now, just to be, be great at acting. So this is the
Wait, Queen Latifah gave you that gem?
Yeah, man.
Can't gloss over that either, man. Can't just be like, oh, Queen Latifah, she just gave me some advice.
Yo, she was like, look at Will Smith, look at Ice Cube. Yeah. One of them had to escalate for the other one to, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, you got to pick. If you're not gonna be great at both. And people always say Tupac would have been the next Denzel, and I'm like, I don't know, because if he didn't give up the music, I don't know if he could have got to Denzel Will Smith status without giving up that music. You know what I mean?
Ice-T said it recently on the Drink Champs episode. Like,
thanks for the plug.
Yeah, no doubt. He was just talking about how, you know, obviously he kind of started with the music, but the acting kind of happened. And he can always tap the music, but you're in a career, both of those, right? Acting and music, where you don't have to retire if you don't want to, right? So you have ample time to like switch gears if you'd like, and throttle accordingly, so that way you can kind of make both make sense for you.
Yeah. I mean, I love Common, but we ain't gonna get like Water for Chocolate again, and his brother keep acting in all these shows. It's not happening. So
By the way, Silo was dope.
Silo's crazy.
Silo's ill.
Silo's crazy.
It made me upset because that's typical with a good show. Like at the end of the season, you're like, oh, that's it. And you know, when you binge it, you kind of need more. So I'm needing some of that.
Bro, I haven't watched. What is Silo? I'm lost.
You sleep.
Apple TV. What is it? Apple Plus or whatever that is.
And Common's in it?
Yeah.
But Common still got bars. I seen him do a freestyle, unless it's an old freestyle circulating, but he still got it.
No, he still got it.
Hell.
I just don't think we'll get an album where he can just concentrate on music. You know what
you're
I'm
right.
saying?
He'd have to take off like a year off acting for sure.
Yeah.
So you got a 15-year-old, and that's a crazy time in a teenager's life. What is your 15? What does he think of dad's music?
Who is Lecrae to your kids?
Oh yeah, they're no respecter of They don't care about none of that. It's like, I mean, they don't that unless it can benefit them in some kind of way, they don't care. You know what I'm saying? Like I took my son to go visit USC, my homeboy DJs, and you know, Roddy Rich came up to the DJ booth and he got to meet Roddy Rich. Now I'm cool. Now he likes, you know what I'm saying? Now I'm like, oh yeah, dad. But yeah, if it don't benefit him, it's nothing. Now he does respect the fact that I know music because he's talented. He's a good producer, but he doesn't. I can't force him because he's like, nah, if you're forcing me to do it, I'm not interested. You know what I mean? So, but he respects my musical knowledge. But he also, what I have to do is I have to become a student and let him be a teacher sometimes, you know what I'm saying, for that relationship to thrive. So I gotta, cause I'll be honest with you, I don't like NBA YoungBoy's music. I don't get it. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, I don't get it. So I said to him, I said, help me get it. Why do y'all like this kid like y'all do? And then he became the teacher, and he was the one that helped me understand the mindset of people who want to gravitate toward the NBA YoungBoy. The other thing about it is this. A lot of parents, you know, will try to keep their kids away from negativity and things that will influence them in a negative way. For me, I'm like, no, let's experience it together so I could walk you through it. You know what I mean? So I could talk you through these particulars and like ask you questions about certain things. So that way you're not just taking your cues from the culture, but your dad is along for the ride with you, breaking it down a little bit more, you know, before you even know what you're dealing with. So
how does that go over? Because we try that with our son, and he get like, in one sense he likes it, but in the other sense sometimes he's like, man, can you guys just let the song play and stop, you know, like trying to explain shit all the time.
Yeah. Nah, I mean, it just depends. If I can play the role of the student more, he enjoys that. If I'm playing the role of the teacher the whole time, like even as I'm teaching, I'm asking questions to teach instead of just telling him stuff.
Gotcha,
you know what I'm saying? I'm like, why do you think he says that? You know what I'm saying? Why do you think he says he feels lonely? Why do you think he says he is struck? Why do you think he says he wants to get off codeine? What make you why is he saying he wants to get off codeine? Probably because it's like, I guess because it's like, you know, hurting them internally. Okay. So you think that's happening to a lot of artists, or what do you think? And letting him come to these conclusions where he's the teacher instead of me telling him, see, that's what I'm saying, son. You know, the opioid crisis is crazy right now.
Right.
Yeah, shut up. I ain't trying to hear all this. You know
so you as the student though, and trying to figure out why he likes it, did you understand why he liked it? Did he explain it in a way where you're like, okay, I get it now?
Yeah. So what he kept, which was kind of pissing me off, I ain't gonna lie to you, he kept comparing him to Tupac. And I was like, yo,
interesting.
I was like, you pissing me off, bro. You don't know what you're talking about. You know what I'm saying? So we had to watch some of the Tupac documentary. So he was like, okay, they're not the same person, but there's a similar effect in terms of how he's able to connect with people by his experiences. You know what I'm saying? I said, okay, keep talking. He's like, so they're not, because just being honest, Tupac was not the most incredible lyricist.
No.
You know what I'm saying? But he connected at a heart level.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? And so when I listen to NBA Youngboy, I'm like, he's not an incredible artist, lyricist, whatever, but it's like, nah, Dad, he's connecting at a heart level. He's being transparent.
It resonates with them.
Exactly. Right. You know what I mean? So I was like, okay, I see the connection now. And then I was listening with a different ear. So I wasn't listening to hear like exceptional quality talent and like, ooh, bars or whatever. I was listening for like the vulnerability, the transparency, the connection. And I was like, okay, I see what you're saying.
So was he able to convince you that it was more than just all his peers think this dude is popping versus he really does, like it resonates with him personally?
Yeah, so what it was it's a mix, right? So it's like, it was the danceability because they all want to like be viral. It was the, you know, somebody who's young who gives a picture of them to the culture. But then it was also like, of the people who are going viral, making a lot of noise, he has more talent than a lot of them. Because, you know, there's no gatekeepers anymore. Like when we was coming up in hip hop, it was gatekeepers. It's like, yo, you ain't talent, you ain't dope, so you can't get through the gate. You know what I'm saying? I know all about gatekeeping because as a Christian trying to rap, oh boy, the gates was up. I had to prove every step of the way. Like you gotta really know what you're talking about. So for him, you know, any kid with an Instagram can become an artist, you know, can be popping tomorrow. So there's no one holding the doors. There's no Def Jam saying, no A&R saying, you need some work. It's just
no magazines, not writing articles, right?
Mm-hmm. Right. You feel what I'm saying? So for them, it's different. It doesn't have to be exceptional talent. It has to be, do I connect with your story or something about you? Do I like you? Whatever it is. So my job, I feel like with my son, is to help him appreciate the difference between popularity and virality and actual, you know, talent and working hard at a craft. And so now the question I ask him is, I'll say, hey, play me somebody you think is amazingly talented. And then he's scratching his head. Now he's like, all right, Pops, you know, someone from your generation that's crazy talented. So now he's like, all right, that's a different, you gave me a new category to think through. Yeah.
Did he come with anyone yet?
He came with a couple people. It's this kid, Lil Tyler,
L-U-L-T-T-T-U-Y or something.
Yeah, Lil Tyler. And I heard why he's like, okay, he has a unique style, some of the stuff he talks about. I said, okay, I get it. And so, yeah, I think lyricism is a lost art, though. That's just something that's never going to be what it was, you know, as for us coming up. It's just like, it's like a lost art.
It's concentrated. You got
there's still some out there. Yeah, there's still, but it's gone underground again, in a sense.
Yeah.
But I asked you that because as parents, I think we all worry about our kids, especially in the social media age, being just followers and not truly having their self-identity into what they're really into. You know, I feel like this age versus before, like if you're into music, you were truly a fan of something versus now you're just following something.
Right.
It's easier. I mean, I'm sure it always existed to follow something, but I feel like it's more now than ever because social media just funnels this, you know, it's like, oh, you have this many followers, then I can just tack onto that just by amount. Oh, if everybody likes you, then you got to be dope, you know?
You must be dope. Yeah, I agree with that. And that's part of the, so I'll say this too. I'm unique in that I don't I have not allowed my kids to have social media. Now, we watched The Social Dilemma together. Now, it's not like they're not cool with it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? They're not cool with it. And my son had a Finsta account. I found them. You know, I had to shut them down. Like, you ain't slick, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Lecrae the ops.
Yeah, I mean, I know how this game goes. But the reason why is because of that very thing you just said, E, is because I want you to learn to be an individual. And while your brain is developing, like focus on being an individual, because as you become an adult, you're going to have to get used to being the only one that doesn't fit in.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So they like, Pop, Dad, man, everybody got TikTok, Instagram. I don't got it. I'm lame. I said, you're going to have to own it and be like, yeah, I don't got it. And it's going to make you
make it your power as opposed to
weakness. Exactly.
Yeah.
So, you know what I'm saying? And so now my son, you know, he's like, well, you know, as soon as I get out of here, I'm going to get it. I'm like, that's cool. That's your decision. By all means, I'm just telling you, I care about the development of your brain and for you to know who you are. So I'm not trying to be vindictive. I'm not saying social media is evil. I'm saying as an adult, I struggle. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, why am I going to let you be taught by all of this nonsense, you know, that don't matter? It's like people, I'm unfollowing you. What is that? Is that power?
Right.
Like that's stupid. So he gets it now. My daughter doesn't get it. And so she's kicking and screaming and just it's a whole thing. But
do any of them have phones?
They all got phones.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? They all got phones, but you know, I got the whole screen time. You know what I'm saying? Just the stuff you can control. Now you got to be active. You know, you got to be involved. I made my kids sign a contract. You know, when I said, before you get this phone, we're going to sign a contract that says, hey, if you really want this phone, you will allow me to do phone checks. Do we agree to this? Like you don't have to get the phone, but if you want the phone, will you allow me to do a phone check? And they like, all right, you know what I'm saying? Of course, they sign their life away without reading it.
It's like a record deal.
Like most of us do, right?
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Yeah,
we're gonna need a copy of that contract.
I send it to you. Yeah,
facilitate that to the Fatherhood's Nation.
Yeah, I send it to you. But it's like, yo, you gotta sign a contract. So, you know, there's certain things you can't do. I don't want you posting pictures of your siblings and sending derogatory stuff to them. I don't want you sending pictures of your genitalia. You know, I don't want no, you know, this is what the contract says. And if you violate the terms of the contract, I'm coming to get the phone. You dig what I'm saying? That's just, it is what it is.
And have you found anything during your phone checks where you're like, it's time to pause for a little while?
Fact. Come on, they teenagers, of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
How's that though? When you got
what's the repercussions?
Yeah, when you got to give them time out on their phone, how does that go down?
But see, that's the beautiful thing, right? Because that's what I always tell parents. Look, you may have grown up in an era where you were an authoritarian. And authoritarian parenting works for only so long, right? You just this dictator authority. Yeah, when they 3 and 4, it's like, no, yes, no. As they get older, you got to realize, you know, you go from being a cop to being a counselor. And as they get older, you got to realize you cannot control their actions, but you can control their access. You dig? So if my son wants to go off to school and skip and get high, I can't, I don't have any control over that. If he wants to go cuss somebody out and punch somebody in the face, I cannot control his actions. And some people think they can beat their kids into submission and now they'll never do that again. You're not. This only going to drive them further away. So I can't control your actions, but I can control your access. So you want a phone, you want them J's, you want the opportunity to get, all I'm required to do by law is feed you and house you, you know, make sure you go to school. But the access that you want, you want you want Netflix, you want a phone, you want Wi-Fi, I don't have to give you none of that. So I think we got a mutual agreement. You respect me by not getting suspended, making your grades what they need to be, and I respect you by giving you access. Phone, Netflix, Wi-Fi, Jordans. You know what I'm saying? It's a trade-off, and that's worked best for us. So, you know, it's like
you shut that Wi-Fi off is a problem.
What?
Yo, so it sounds like in your household, access to explore, so the ability to explore music is not limited, so to say, right? Like it's not like you're like, yo, you can only listen to Christian hip hop, for example.
No.
And so I think that's really I think that's the right way to approach it, because otherwise it's kind of like what you said earlier. The more you try to be authoritarian, the more they're going to push toward, the outer limits, right?
Yes.
And so I'm curious, just how does that work in your house? Like, for instance, in mine, right? The ratchet, like, I love Nicki Minaj and her bars.
Yeah.
I'm not letting my kids listen to Nicki Minaj.
Right.
Or some of the raunchy rap.
Yeah.
How do you go about it in your house?
Again, man, like I think on a certain level, for me, I don't know what that magic age is, but for me, at like 13, I gotta let you make some of your own choices so you learn how to fail, so you learn how to navigate stuff. You know what I mean? Like, I can't hover over everything, So for me, it's like I would rather have access to your world than you hiding it from me and pretending like it doesn't exist. Because at least I could talk with you through it. So for me, it was like, case in point, I called my son when I was like, yo, I don't want you listening to certain types of music. He's probably like 12, I think. I caught him listening to Blueface. And I was like, yo, do you? And at first I was like, yo, what are you doing? You know what I'm saying? So then I was like, do you even know what a bust down is? You know what I'm saying? And he's like, no. I said, all right, so let's talk about it. So now we able to walk through it. He was like, dang, I didn't know it was saying all that. You know what I mean? So it was just, we processed the music together. And I was like, yo, so just so you know, I don't endorse this message, but I want you to like quality music. I also don't think this is a quality song. So you want to listen to something? Let's see if we can find, let's put you on some quality music. You know what I mean? Like, and then I took them down that road of like introducing them just the history of hip hop and just like, oh, you want to listen to that? Let's go down this line. But end of the day, I can't control everything they do. Like I can say, no, you can't listen to this ever. They just gonna listen to it when they get to school or when they so and so. So it's better for me to walk with them through it, than to just try to cut it all the way off. Now, but at a certain age, you know what I'm saying? My 11-year-old, nah, it ain't happening.
Right.
But I'm not like Christian only. For me, it's like I'm just thinking through the content. Is this something I endorse as a parent, content-wise?
It's the message.
Right.
Yeah. Message above everything else. Yeah.
Yeah.
So along these same lines, like tell us a little bit about how religion plays in the house, and if the kids are on the same path as you, or if you're letting them make choices. How does this all work within your household?
Yeah. So my thing is this. I think the reason why pastors' kids struggle is, one, I think it's because religion is rules that are forced on people. So one, they feel forced. Two, it's not an authentic part of their lives. So they're saying one thing on Sunday morning and then something else is happening at home. So for me, I just want my kids to see the integration. It's not about like head knowledge. It's not just like, yo, do you know 1 Corinthians, such and such and so-and-so? And, it's more about what are the implications of my relationship with God in my everyday life? And how are we fleshing that out? And so 2 examples I'll say is, yes, I do a Bible study with my kids. You know what I'm saying? That we go through stuff, we go through Proverbs and just break stuff down. We also look at world religions and like, hey, this is what these people believe. And I explained to them, I said, the reason why daddy is a Christian and not any of these other faiths is because when you break down a lot of these faiths, it's about you having to work hard to earn a relationship with God. This is the one that says you're not really gonna get it right. You're imperfect. So you're going to need someone to reach down and help you up. That's why daddy rocks with it. And I don't hide my past from him. I tell him I was in the streets, you know, this is what I was into. And then, you know, we'll go feed the homeless. We'll go work with underprivileged schools so they see it fleshed out, you know, in action. And then another thing, and this is kind of controversial for some people, some Christians, but it's my views. Like, I want them to navigate reality and not be on some, like, you know, living in this ivory tower. So even as it pertains, I say, like, you know, cuss words, for instance. I'm like, they're words. They're just words. Mm-hmm. The culture has deemed them as either appropriate or inappropriate, but they're just words. You give the power to the word. It's not about the word, it's about the intention behind it. So if somebody says, you know, yo, good shit, man, they're actually giving you grace.
Right.
So that's not a curse. That's grace towards you. Now, someone says, man, that's shit.
Yeah.
Okay. They tore you down. You see what I'm saying? So, but they're just words. And God is not sitting like, whoa, these words, because your relationship with God is not dictated upon all these rules and regulations. So I want my kids to have a different sense of freedom and not be these weirdo, isolated little religious bots.
All right.
So when they hear a cuss word for the first time, they're not like, oh, you know what I'm saying? They understand cultural context.
Yeah, that's super important, because like the context of it all, because you know, you're kind of constructed in a way as a person of society where everything's taboo, right? And so you react instead of like give it a second, be like, all right, your kids are, and this is something I try to help my wife through, because we as parents, like you said earlier, we can't control.
Right.
I give a zero credit for control after a certain age. Like, there's nothing we can control for them and their actions, right? And so what we can do is, what that's within our power, is try to establish the best foundation possible. And that includes putting in some of the bullshit with the good shit, right? And then just having them understand what that all is and how to leverage it all. Because like we said, like the prototypical curse word can have multiple meanings depending on the context and the circumstance.
Yeah.
So I would prefer, myself included, we don't use them,
right?
Because we can find better words. But there's I grew up in the Bronx, and that was the environment I grew up in. And elation sometimes came out like using the word shit, right?
Yeah. And just exclamations, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's okay. But where we draw the line is like, don't call each other that term with a foul intent.
Right.
Then we have a problem.
And is it appropriate at this age? So that's what I tell my kids. I say, yo, can you drive? No. Is it bad? Is it a crime? I mean, not a crime, but is it a sin for you to drive? No, but it's not appropriate for you because you're underage. So culturally, it's not appropriate for you to use these words. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want you to use these words.
There's a responsibility behind it, right?
Bam. That's it. You dig what I'm saying? So it's like, I just want you to understand what it culturally looks like. And that's how we navigate it, man. So again, my faith with God is a relationship, not a bunch of rules. If I come to my wife and I say, here goes some flowers for your birthday, I know this is my duty. I'm sleeping on the couch.
Yeah.
You know, that's religion. But if I come home like, yo, babe, you know what, man, you've been grinding. I just appreciate you so much. I got you some flowers. That's relationship. So it's like, I don't want them to approach God like some authoritarian dictator in the sky. I want them to feel like, yo, this is a relationship I can have. And because nobody wants to live life like that. That's just not a healthy way to live.
Do you think you're coming into the music game and your career, do you think coming into it with a grounding and having a spiritual relationship, do you think that saved you from some of the the average shit that might happen in this industry?
That's a good question. I would say yes and no. You know, I say yes and no. I say yes from the standpoint of I had eyeballs looking at me, knowing I had to be responsible to really live out what I said I was going to live out. But, you know, I'm the only difference between me and anybody else is that any other rapper who is not, you know, a faith, a God-fearing rapper, is that I acknowledge my weakness and I say I need God. You know what I'm saying? Whereas other people say, I ain't weak. I'm just gonna do what I want to do. I acknowledge it. So I think that's the struggle, is people don't acknowledge it. I acknowledged it, and that helped me to just say, yo, I'm weak. You know what I mean? Like, true story. I'm like, yo, I have an addictive personality. I don't want to be, my pops is a drug addict, you know, and I don't want to become that. And I feel like God has given me the strength to say no. But I did, oh my God, what's the name of the big rap event that they have? They had it in the Bay.
Rolling Loud.
Rolling Loud?
Not Rolling Loud. It's the older.
Before that.
Rock the Bells.
Rock the Bells.
Yeah.
So I did Rock the Bells. And man, you know, I'm watching Wu-Tang on stage and everybody's blowing loud everywhere. And I'm just like, you know what I'm saying? Like, maybe I just get your contact, you know what I'm saying? You know, but I can be honest with myself about that. You know, right. And just say, man, I know this is my issue. And instead of acting like I got it together or just going with the flow, it's that reality of like, nah, I know what lives inside of me. And I know I'm a werewolf, you know what I mean? And I can wolf out. So let me chill. And so, yes, that has kept me, you know, knowing that, man, God has given me the strength because I admit my weakness. But at the same time, the struggle's still there. So I still have fallen into some of the pitfalls. I still have there's still some moments where I'm glad that, you know, stuff wasn't captured on social media, because some people would be like, right. Yo, that's the Christian dude. You know what I mean? Right. You know what I'm saying? So, but it like, look, man, we all fall short. It's did I get back up and start over again? Yes, I did. You know what I mean? So that's really
it's the fact that you're holding yourself accountable even when you fall. And allowing yourself to get up. That there's actually strength in that.
Yeah.
Because most people won't hold themselves accountable, and then they'll just make excuses for when they fall versus just saying, I fucked up.
Yeah.
I gotta pull myself out of this. I gotta do better.
Yep.
You know, and allow themselves. I think there's more strength in that than weakness, you know.
And forgiving yourself at the same time, right?
Yeah.
Like,
which is tough.
It's hard
because you to forgive yourself sometimes,
because you think of yourself as a hypocrite, right? Like, no, I'm not going to do that. I do it, and now I can't even look at myself, right? Let alone like admit it and then like go through the motions. So,
how do you guys teach your kids that? Because I've seen that's a bit of a struggle. Like when my son makes a mistake, and it, you know, for younger kids, it feels like it's like they made the biggest mistake in the world, or it's the end of the world when, you know, they've failed or done something wrong. And it's like, yo, you got to just learn from it, forgive yourself, and do better next time. How do you guys deal with trying to convince them and get that confidence? It's almost like a confidence to forgive yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, mine are too young mine are 3 and 5, and I'm trying to figure it out.
3 and 5, man, you done, man. You cooked. Your retirement plan is over, bro.
I'm in the trenches. That's why I was late today. Sorry, by the way, but my daughter, she woke up on the wrong side of the bed today.
You cooked, man. Yeah, I know that life. I know for me, I practice apologizing and practice transparency, because I never seen an adult apologize to me ever in my life. Ever in my life, you know. So I think when they see you being vulnerable like that, being, you know, you're not a superhero, then you also reminding yourself, oh, I'm not a superhero and I don't have to pretend like I am. You know what I mean? Showing them your humanity. Now, I'm not getting too deep into it, you know, but I just show them my humanity. I remember my son, he got bullied probably around 7 or 8 years old, and some older kids were, you know, bullying them, punching them up a little bit, and I got hot at them. I was like, you know, because that's how I was raised. Like, you don't mean no little punk, you know what I mean? You stand up for yourself. Blah, blah, blah. I got on him, and then I came back and I apologized to him, And I said, you know what? I was wrong for that. I said, to be honest with you, daddy grew up in a lot of trauma. I was forced to fight like a pit bull. And a lot of insecurities made me feel like, man, if I'm not the toughest person in the room, then I'm not a real man, you know? And so I said, that's not okay. And man, I apologize. You know, I do want you to be able to defend yourself, but I don't want you to ever feel like you're weak for crying. You know, I said, I cry too sometimes. He was like, what? You know what I'm saying?
Yo,
that was a moment for him.
But keep it a buck though. Even right now, if you do find yourself in a moment that you feel like crying, is your first instinct, yo, let me get away from these kids? Or like,
of course.
Yeah.
Facts. Yeah. You don't even see me like this. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah.
I feel that.
Yeah, right, man. You ask your kids to bring the Kleenex for you.
Yo, I wish I could get to that level. I wish I could.
Yeah, yo, go wipe the snot off, daddy.
What's crazy
You missed
is
the spot.
what's crazy is for me, like the big tear jerkers are like, you know, like a dope like ESPN 30 for 30, right? On some like real deep like sports, like heartfelt shit.
Yeah.
Bro, you see me in the like we'll be watching as a family, you see me in the corner like that. Man, inconspicuous tear wiping.
Yeah, but it bonded us, man. I think that bonds you, and it helped our relationship, my son and I, you know, because he's seen the vulnerable sides of me, you know, and he's a teenager, you know. I went off on him before, you know. I ripped the shirt up in the whole night, like, no, nigga, you think you,
yeah,
you know what I'm saying, and I had to come back and apologize and be vulnerable and let him know, like, yo, this is what I said. You know, I know you probably think I was going crazy. Let me tell you what I went through as a kid. And, you know, it doesn't make it okay. You know, I've been abused. I've been molested. I've been beat up. I done had a car, hit by a car by an adult because they was mad at me crazy, all kind of craziness. But that don't make it okay. But I'm just trying to give you some context to, you know, what I'm having to battle through. And you know what I'm saying? And that vulnerability helps build the relationship.
Yeah. Okay, to answer your question, for me, is I try to do it based on action. Because I find myself, if I try to get into the whole conversation of it, I lecture and then tension goes to zero, right? So I just try to live it. I'm flawed consistently in trying to do it, but that is always my intention. And I do find myself often enough, more so now than ever, just because thank God, through getting older, I'm getting more mature. So apologizing.
Finally.
Yeah, I know. Don't clap yet, bro. It's still a long way to go.
Yeah.
But the apologies do make a difference. And I see, they don't say it, but I see their reaction similar to what you just described, Lecrae. Like, they're kind of like, yo, okay, this is different.
Yeah, I do the apology thing too. And in a young age, and I see the difference to stop and say, you know, I'm sorry. That was like sometimes if I react and I get loud with them and I know that that was an overreaction, I'll just stop for a second and I'll apologize to them. And I see that it does have a positive effect when they see me, and it kind of like it neutralizes everything in that moment.
Yeah,
it's critical, I think, as you're developing your relationship with your kids. Like, we're gonna get out of pocket as parents. The kids are gonna get out of pocket as kids. When you're done with the drama, take your moments, go to your corners, come back at some point, and you as the older person in the relationship here probably should extend the olive branch and like start with the apology and just like have the conversation. Because even if it was like, yo, you did some foul stuff, little kid, like, and here's what I saw, and this is why I got all hot. Like, explain the course of why it got to that point, right?
Yeah.
That settles in their minds as like, okay, at least I understand. I didn't love that my father screamed at me, but I get why. And then you can get to a better place together.
Right. Yo, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I just say this is dope to me. It's wild to see a bunch of grown men, talking about apologizing to their kids. Like, you would never think we got to this place, you know what I mean? Especially if you was raised in a culture of hip hop, because this is like, it's almost counterintuitive, you know what I mean? It's wild.
Well, that's what I was gonna say is that, and I'll say this to anybody listening or watching us, that's a father, a parent. Sometimes you gotta, when you react or you do something and you kind of know that was a little wild. It's probably not what your kid did. It's really your past trauma that you're dealing with. And we don't deal with it, especially us as men. We grew up in a macho society and we're still dealing with trying to figure that out. We still are trying to break that macho chain, like it doesn't mean that you not to be a man. That has nothing to do with it. It's just, we're overcompensating and we're overdoing it and we're dealing with our own traumas and we're reacting within ourselves. And then it comes out to our kids. Sometimes, we're just overdoing it. Sometimes you just got to stop for a second and say, hold up a second. I didn't have to go in on you like that. You took a banana you wasn't supposed to take. I'm sorry, son. My 3-year-old like, whoa, what the heck did I do? My bad. That's my bad.
Yeah, right. It wasn't about the banana. It was about Keisha in the 12th grade.
Like whatever the hell's inside of you, got to deal with that, man.
Right. I remember one episode a couple of years ago. We had Cypher Sounds, and he was talking about like how his wife would snap on the kids sometimes, and he's thinking in his mind like, I'm not going to do that. He's like, all she did was take all like the clothes out of one of the drawers and just put it on the floor. He's like, I can just put those clothes back. It's going to be okay. I don't have to flip out on her. You know what I mean?
You got to choose your battles too, man. Like everything doesn't have to be that crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like I took a trip to LA with my son. And he was packing his bag, on the way back home to Atlanta, and he was just throwing clothes in the bag. And I was like, yo, my man, you gonna fold those up and put them in the bag? And it was early in the morning, I'm tired, and I'm about to, he looked at me, he said, but why? I'm just gonna take them right back out. So why do they need to be folded up? And it was about to piss me off, but then I was like, I don't want to fight. This is a stupid battle. You win. I don't care. It's like, what's the point? You know what I'm saying? Like, what's the overall, what's this going to hurt in this moment? Because I know I'm going to spaz on this kid because I'm mad. It's early. And it's like, yo, choose your battles right now. What's more important? Getting to the airport, getting on a plane, getting home, like, bow. You know what I'm saying? There's another time for a life lesson about responsibility down the line. You know what I mean?
That's where I suck right there.
The time and place for the lessons. Yeah.
I'm getting slightly better again as I age, but man, do I find myself in situations where after the fact, I'm just like, yo, that was dumb, Manny. Why would you even like create this friction for what? And even in your example, Lecrae, like your son's not wrong.
Right.
But throw it in this bag and I'm going to throw it out as soon as I get to where I'm going. Like he's not wrong.
Right.
But there's a certain decorum that we're accustomed to. It's like, yo, I need like fold. Like
right. You want your shit to look nice.
Or you could be like, all right, you're going to wear the wrinkled clothes. That's on you. And don't look crazy.
Right. They don't care. My son doesn't give a damn.
Doesn't care.
Now at 10, he's like, all right, maybe I'll iron a shirt. Like, Dad, can you iron my shirt? But before? Man, listen.
Yeah, it ain't worth the battle. So I was just like, you know what? It's whatever, man. It ain't worth the battle. You know what I'm saying? Like we were in the airport. It's funny, same trip. We in the airport and he's, he gets his drink, whatever. And it's like, I said, yo, you want to hit the bathroom before we get on the plane? You 11 now, you know what I'm saying? Like, you want to go to the bathroom before we get on the plane? He's like, no, I'm good. I was like, no, you should probably go to the bathroom. I'm not trying to force you. You're not a little baby, but you probably should go to the bathroom before you get on the plane. He was like, I'm good. Then we get on the plane and, it's like, I'm at the window. He's in the middle. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, yo, my man, we flying Comfort on Delta and some stranger sitting right here. And I know he's socially like I don't want to tap the stranger. I said, I know you don't want to do it, but I'm not going to help you. You didn't want to go to the bathroom. You got to learn the hard way. He's like, Dad, I gotta go to the bathroom. I said, cool. Tell the man right next to you, can you get up? He's like, oh, let's talk to this person. I was like, yo, my man, I told you to go to the bathroom, lesson learned, you know what I'm saying? So
he never did it? He never tapped him?
No, he held it the whole way.
His bladder was having it.
Yo, that poor bladder, bro.
He ran off the plane. But look, man, you gonna learn to listen to my advice in the future, because I'm not gonna be time to go potty. You know what I mean? Nah, you're 11. I told you. You know what I mean? The hard way.
I have one before we head out, because I know we're up on time a little bit. I have one music question for you. And so I wouldn't call myself a devout Lecrae fan, because I don't know enough about your work. Like, I've dabbled, right?
Yeah.
But almost everything that I listen to, you and Lecrae are collaborating. I'm sorry, you and Andy Mineo are collaborating on.
Oh, yeah.
Somehow, like, the music algorithms pair y'all with me.
Yeah.
So, and it's dope. Everything is dope. But I was listening to Been About It recently.
For sure.
And I had never seen the music video. Mm-hmm. And then I saw the music video. Yo, it was like a master class in my house when I saw that. Wow. And if K and E, if you haven't seen it, please go see. It's called Been About It. It's Andy Mineo's song featuring Lecrae. Mm-hmm. They go through like all iconic music, like hip hop album covers. Like, it's the illest thing. I don't know whose concept it was, but
yeah.
A, that was dope. But B, y'all collaborate so often. At least it feels like that to me.
Yeah.
Are you just waiting for him to have a kid for y'all to form like a dad supergroup?
Yo, my man, I don't think Andy gonna ever have a kid. He just likes practicing.
I think he should just.
I don't think he's ever gonna have a kid. Like, being honest, because and that's his story to tell. But I mean, he's admitted it before, but publicly. But I think his thing is like, his pops failed him so miserably, and he's like, man, I know in order to be the dad I want to be, I got to let go of all of these things that I'm shaping in my life, and is that selfish or is it not? And my thing is like, nah, it's not. But I think having a kid is like having a partner. There are benefits that you can't get if you're single, and there's detriments that you won't have to deal with if you're single. So it's like having a kid there's benefits you just will never have if you don't have them. Yeah. And then there's detriments that you'll never have to think about if you don't have them. So it's like, that joy of somebody just looking up to you and being like, you are the person that proud moment when they accomplish something that you was just like, you worked on, like, you just will never experience that. You know what I'm saying? But the pain, they will cause you. You're relieved of that as well. So that's the catch-22 of it all. And I don't know if he'll ever do it, man. But Andy and I are real similar because, again, we're both kids, children of hip hop, and that's what the difference is we grew up in hip hop, so we have a respect for the craft. We're not a fan of. We are rappers who are Christian. We're not Christian rappers,
right?
You know what I'm saying? We're not a fan of people who just, I know God, now I'm gonna rap. Mm-hmm. We are a fan of people who like, nah, I respect the art form, the craft, the hip hop. It's the culture I was raised in. And now I'm just incorporating my faith the same way Brand Nubian or Lupe or Wu-Tang would do. Mm-hmm. That's what we're doing.
But the first time I heard your music, I didn't know you were a Christian artist.
Word.
Someone had to tell me. I was like, nah, this dude's too nice. Like, what are you talking about? Because my history in being around like Christian artists or gospel, I was like, and I had seen a lot of hypocrisy in that world. But then I was like, man, this is dope. Like I really, really thought it didn't even come into my mind that you were a Christian artist until someone actually told me. Yeah. Which I think is dope and is the way it should be,
Facts. Yeah, man. It just be dope. It's like, and that's what's gonna make people respect it. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I feel like we're aching. We kind of like the South. It's like people didn't respect Outkast and Goody Mob initially. It was like, what is this? And they had to earn the right to be heard by being
Right.
dope.
Right.
And that's really it. I felt the same way. It was like, oh, y'all think y'all okay? I got you. I see what you. Oh, it's cool. You know, we just gonna do our thing. And so,
well, props to you, bro, because that is not
for
a
real
thing to cut through. And I'm sure you're still fighting, but having those 2 Grammys in the background, I think helps a bit.
You know, man, look, I made a song. I got a song with De La Soul and a picture with Lauryn Hill. I achieved more goals than my little 12-year-old self.
See, that's the hip hop in you. That's how I feel too about a lot of things. Like, that's it. I'm done.
I'm like, look, I'm good.
Everything else is icing on the cake.
You feel me?
Right.
Yeah.
Yo, why don't you, Lecrae, leave the audience with kind of, I don't know, just a piece of sage advice for any fathers out here who might be struggling to, you know, figure out the right path or do the right thing with their kids. Like, what would you advise them on?
Yeah, I would just say this, you know, you'll notice that most people don't write books about parenting in that teenage space. It's usually little kids or when they're adults and their kids are grown up and they forgot how hellish they were. So I would say, think of parenting in stages, you know what I mean? And I would say, you know, the initial stage is, you know, you're the cop. I mean, just straight up and down. You gotta police everything. Like, don't touch that. Don't go there. Don't do this. You know, you are that. I think the second stage is you're the counselor. So it's like you're talking with them constantly, asking them questions. That's that teenage stage, you know, like preteen, teen stage, you're a counselor. And then once they leave the house, now you're a consultant. You know, they call in, hey, yo, what do you think about this? That's the goal anyway, is for them to want to consult with you. Right. So I would say build a relationship with your kids now to where they want to consult with you later. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't get annoyed at them talking and asking you a bunch of questions when they're little, because they're going to turn into teenagers. They ain't going to want to say a damn thing to you. Yep. You know what I'm saying? So listen, pay attention, enjoy that, because it's all in stages. You know what I'm saying? And just that's how I look at it. You know, you're never going to be dealing with the same person their whole life. They're going to become different people throughout, and hang on for the ride, man. You know,
that's crazy how you just right now off the top did the trailer for the collab book that we're about to write about parenting.
Word.
Wow. Manny manifesting business moves, right?
Crazy, Lecrae.
Oh yeah, you got
he
that.
said you look crazy.
Yeah, just, you know what I'm saying, just give me a shout out on the back. Like that. I think it's super dope that y'all are doing this, man. This is what's next. I mean, we never had nothing like this. You know, hip hop is 50 years old, and just to see, you know, these spaces and places again, like even with, you know, to you, E, with Drink Champs, it was like, oh shoot, a place where I can hear from people that I grew up on, and right. I respect. It's like, man, we need to mature, and there needs to be a space for us to grow up and still be culturally relevant. So I'm grateful for this.
Yeah, I represent white beards in hip hop. Let's go.
Yeah.
Lecrae, thank you so much, man.
Yeah, man.
Appreciate you, man.
Keep fighting that good fight and putting out that great music, bro. Because my kids love it, and it's a great opportunity for us to bond, you know, in safe space with dope bars. So really appreciate all the work you and all the homies that you collab with do.
Yeah, man. Appreciate y'all, man. That's love and respect, man.
Let's stay connected, please.
Yeah, by all means, man. I'll just throw my info in the chat. Y'all can keep it up. You know what I'm saying?
And we need that contract too.
Yeah.
Word. Hold on.
Make that a downloadable PDF for all the parents out there.
Right.